Hello. That just happened to everyone. Um, you're on mute still.
I got bumped off and it said there was somebody else using this.
Everyone did in all of the rooms, but it looks like we are good to go again. So I
Okay.
am going to go ahead and readmit everyone if we're good.
All right. Fingers crossed this doesn't happen again today.
Okay.
So I'm texting Jen. I'm not Jeanette what the heck happened.
Okay, now we're all here now.
Yep, we look good.
Okay, good morning,
Yes,
everybody.
people
Hello.
are still in the waiting room.
Two are still there. They'll be on their way. Good morning, Jennifer Kirk. I'm from Upper St. Clair High School. Welcome. Sorry for that bump off there. Ginny and I were just, we were texting and calling each other like, oh no, what happened? We thought
what happened. Bumped off.
Well, welcome to our session.
That's just the lack of haircut. Maybe on Friday. Do you know? It'll let me know.
I don't know. So it's good to see everyone. You're welcome to share or not share your screen if you like, or your video, so we can see you all. I'm excited to be in person. I do see some folks I know, so yay, hi.
Yeah, seriously.
And people I haven't seen in a long time. So obviously it'd be better if we were in person. I am sitting in my office, so it's exciting for me to be at work. Although I shared with Ginny before we got started here that the air conditioning was not working in the building when I walked in. So I'm really hot. So, but better than the dog barking at us.
I know. Well, I have the dog, so you have the heat. I have the air conditioning at whatever I want. The dog sleeping in the background. Nobody say the word carrot, and we're okay. All right?
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started. We're going to move through the presentation. We'll keep an eye on the chat, so if anybody has questions as we go. And then certainly, Ginny and I are fast talkers, so if we get through everything, we can have—
Talk too fast, like start waving your hands.
Yeah, but we can have conversation at the end.
As we speed talk to our 45-minute session.
Yes, and additionally, I would add—
for 90 minutes on our own.
Yeah, and we like to talk over each other.
Right.
Additionally, I would add that we have far more on our slides than either of us, I think, would traditionally put, certainly me, but I have found in these settings and other presentations I've done that people have asked to have more content on the slides given this setting. So when you see a whole lot up there, that's what that's about. Okay, guys? Okay.
All right.
We'll go ahead and get started. Where to go? So now I can't find it because I just had it up. Okay, one sec, guys.
Well, meanwhile, we'll just do little introductions for those of you that while you're finding that channel. I'll go do my introduce first. My name is Jenny Johnson. I currently have two positions. I am the Director of Counseling and Student Engagement at a scholarship group called Sage Scholars, but I also have an independent practice called Pathways to Admissions. And I am ramping that up, so you'll be seeing more stuff from me on that piece. I've been doing the college counseling thing for a little over 20 years, a public school counselor, past president, PACAC, yeah. So that's basically who I am. Jen?
There we go. I got it up there. I was going to share with everybody first. Can you all see? Can we see? Awesome. Okay, great. So we introduce ourselves. This is Are You Ready? Meeting Your Students' Needs with College and Career Standards. As a kickoff here, I have a slide we threw in there about career and education work standards. And again, a lot of words, but you can see that we've almost muted out some of the language there offered by Pennsylvania with the highlights of what's really important to those of us who are working with kids. And I know we have a variety of folks here, but we're all working toward similar goals for our kids and having them graduate and have access to training, post-secondary stuff. So career options in relationship to individual interests, aptitudes, and skills, knowledge and skill in job seeking and job retaining competencies, skills to succeed in the occupation for which they are prepared. All of these pieces, I think, get us all pretty excited when we hear and talk about it. And these really all fulfill our career education and work standards. I think they've taken on some new meaning in COVID with the economic crisis and the change in the job market. I also think when we look at these through the lens of equity and access, they really get heightened. Additionally, we have the college and career readiness that we think through, and ensuring that our students have meaningful engagement in post-secondary education, workforce training, and looking at career pathways, and ensuring that we are helping to develop and grow responsible and involved citizens. Oh, I can't move my slide. Where'd it go? Next.
Okay, there we go. With that in mind, go back for 1 second.
There it
There
is.
we go. I just wanted to insert this piece, Jen. Part of one of the things I've developed as part of the Sage Scholars program, which is really independent of Sage Scholars, is a new website that we've launched called Ready Set College. And what we can do on here is we can take you from career to major to college. And we are really cognizant of the fact that 42 of the 50 states, not just Pennsylvania, are requiring some kind of career readiness for grades K through 12. And part of our goal is to make your life easier. And what we've done is we've put a lot of attributes onto the website that you can use. Everything that's on the site is free. And the reason I want to really emphasize that is that if you're not an affluent school district that you can afford Naviance or other things and pay for the assessments, you're really up a creek without a paddle. So what we thought we should do is we should offer something so that everyone in any state, be it Pennsylvania, anywhere else, would be able to access the assessment tools that they're being mandated to use. I'll turn it back to you, Jen.
It is. There we go. Okay, so we have the 13 effective practices that are out there. Oh, and keep us on track. These have been around for years and years and years, and it's always worth taking a peek at. So we want to ensure we're engaging stakeholders, our students, our families, our administrators, our community, our advisory boards, facilitate integration within a variety of existing K-12 courses. We can lean on our people in our schools. We can access our teachers. This works outside of the counseling regime because we are, again, building involved, responsible citizens. Career development and character education can be linked. This can happen through different content areas. I will share a little bit that, we team with both our English and social studies departments through our public school lens. Provide opportunities for linkages to post-secondary training and the world of work. Team with your networks outside of your school. We have relationships that we have built with our professional organizations as well as our workforce development organizations. Obviously, we want to integrate computerized career development software and web-based resources. Jenny mentioned there's free. We also have paid. It depends on what you have access to and what you can utilize. Lifelong learning, workplace skills, connectedness to the world. Entrepreneurial work, our career portfolios that we all are required to have in place now, our career-based graduation project. Everyone, I encourage you, this is where you need to head with this. Why would we not do that? Everybody had to jump on board and create a graduation project. Why anyone has not geared that toward career development at this point is beyond me, because then you tie it all together and you are making it have meaning. It encourages our kids and families to focus on that, because for some reason what we know is that these career standards, while required, still sort of live on the side through the lens of many of our colleagues at work and even families. They don't understand how it fits into the school day while also seeing where it's a priority and important. You can even also add standalone courses through different seminar opportunities, financial literacy, even career development, it can be called. Advisory, and then institute our inventories and pathway models. You can tie all of your academic work, your program of studies to the career clusters, and even offer program of study through course selection through the career clusters. Okay, so quality.
Jen, I just wanted to make a real quick statement saying that this is overwhelming, okay? And especially during this COVID time, even if it's not COVID, there is so much that is on your plate as a counselor, be you a college counselor or be you a standard high school counselor, whatever that means, is that what we really want to help you do, and it's hard to do in this 45 minutes, is to sink into what are those key things that you really need to concentrate on, okay? One of the things that I've been working on is trying to come up with a format, and I've been doing this. I have a group of counselors I work with. Jen's one of them, from Laura Marian. Talk to Becky, or I'll talk to Rich or Misty, and Mike Bruce, other people across the state saying, okay, what would you have to have in a document that would meet these requirements? So that because you don't have to do them all, okay? You have to pick and choose from them, but this is your guideline from it. And so we don't want you to walk away from this feeling totally overwhelmed by the process.
So again, the state, as I keep talking about it. So the state also talks about a quality employee, and the point in sharing all of this is you can see the overlap. We continue to hear about this support and service of our students' development, but we see these overlaps as well, and wanting to make sure and ensure that our kids are ready for employability at some point in a world that they have access to those pieces. And really, how much have we heard about soft skills? I always call them essential skills, but that's what this slide is speaking to. So here they are, the career and education work standards: career awareness and preparation, career acquisition, retention and advancement, and then entrepreneurship. And in the high school years, we in schools are required to fulfill 8 pieces of data or archived evidence to hit all of these. We have to have at least 2 at each area, and it has to stretch over grades 9 through 11. And then we also have to have that career portfolio that I'll mention here in a moment, starting in the 8th grade. And again, we're going to talk about phasing that into your development and work with kids. Graduation project, there's that career portfolio. This tool is for students to help them think through and plan for their future education and career. It requires all students to have a career portfolio, as I mentioned. It can be electronic or paper and pencil. And of course, we're going to say go electronic. It's much easier to maintain that archive and gives you immediate access if, God forbid, you should ever have the state show up and ask you for 5 kids' portfolios. I have not had that happen yet. I can't imagine what that would feel like if someone showed up after you've already run your keystones and AP exams and everything else that you're doing at your high school. Okay, so this is the nitty gritty. This is what we want to get to. One public high school lens. So this is what we've utilized at my high school. And to Jenny's point, this is something that we pay for. We are very resourced, and so we're fortunate. There will be some other not pay for resources that we'll offer later, but the steps that we take are certainly something that still are steps that can be taken in a not pay for setting. We currently utilize Naviance. We also utilize EverFi for our entrepreneurial pieces, and Canvas is our Blackboard essentially in our school district. And this is something that when teaming with my social studies and English teacher specifically, we used to house some archived evidence. And here we go. We go by grade year. So grade 8, our counselors work with kids, and then that portfolio starts and we move into high school life. In grade 9, in Naviance, we assign tasks. And this is specifically for our counselor piece. And in Naviance, we can assign these to the kids, and we actually teach a freshman seminar where the counselors push into the classroom and work with the kids. And we have them do the college search. We have them do a resume that they get started. And the pieces in between are the inventories where they're fulfilling the heavy layers of awareness and preparation. And then we have them do a reflection piece, which is that 9th grade survey. Now, access is the key. We do it globally, and we do it in a classroom setting as push-in. If you have lacking capacity of getting into a classroom setting with them, formally as a freshman seminar, you can team with your teachers to do such a thing. They usually take, I don't know, they get pretty excited about that. They appreciate the chance to either take a break from the classroom or even team with you. I know in some districts that utilize Naviance, even the teachers will teach this piece, especially for our transition for our 9th graders. The My Advantage, our Strengths Explorer, and the Learning Style Inventory through awareness and preparation really teaches our kids how to transition and know themselves and make choices about their academic piece. We also have a heavy jobs project that I team with our social studies department on. And that piece is housed in our Canvas platform, and that speaks to the acquisition piece. And so we already have, within awareness and preparation, multiple pieces of evidence, and through jobs project, that acquisition. We move into grade 10, and you can see the other career portfolio requirements through Naviance that are assigned as tasks. And as a reminder, when they're assigned as tasks, they're automatically archived in the system for us. And you can see the pieces that are fulfilled there. In 10th grade, we do push in with our teachers in the classroom. So again, hitting all kids, and we will do follow-up meetings with the kids to process and reflect with them so they can do that program survey. And again, we work with them on their resume and then plan for their academic coursework moving into the junior year and ensuring that it ties. As a fun sidebar, our program of study while listing all courses and having, you know, details and descriptions, is also tied to the career clusters. And we have pathways that we put in our program of studies to help aid our kids. So they know if they're interested in the health sciences, there are a list of courses that would make sense for them because of our list of courses that are available in the elective frame. In 10th grade, we also utilize the EverFi program, the first module in entrepreneurship. So you can see the pieces that we've already hit through those 2 grade levels. Grade 11, individual career portfolio again. In the grade 11 year, we're meeting individually with students as well as their parents with a springboard from evening presentations. You can see the layers that are hit there, our EverFi module, and then a financial literacy day. That day we team with a number of teachers and a committee, and we spend the day working with them, reflective pieces, and then we are able to do, you know, about 25 to 30 kids, and maybe 24 kids at this point, as a follow-up in the classroom to reflect on that and have archive pieces. So we've been able to utilize our staff. We've been able to utilize our Canvas Blackboard platform and the Naviance to house materials. So if we had someone come and say, hey, we need to see these 5 kids, Jen, where do you have this information? I can very quickly hop on my computer and pull that information, and I will have that for years. Additionally, it's meaningful information. It's not something that we've recreated. It's something that we really had in existence already, and we've been able to make it even more meaningful because it's tied to mandates from our state. Those career standards were written for a reason. They've been in place actually for pushing 10 years. And so we are now able to use them through mandate to really educate our kids and have everyone be on board. So as far as career as a standalone, is more infused into our system. We actually continue into grade 12 while those career standards have already been vetted and, you know, fulfilled. We continue with some of their work with our kids to ensure we have them program ready, and we have the decision-making model in place with them. To Jenny's point, when we talk about, you know, career, major, college, that kind of layer of stepping stone, we can work with them through that process. When you work in a high school, you know, we are resourced well with our numbers, so we are able to pull those individual meetings out. If you're in a system where your numbers are not quite in that 250 to 1 range, you can do this well in small group or large group setting and still put the information out and team with kids. Jenny.
It's back to me. All right. I just wanted to say that part of what I do in my private practice is that I assimilate all these different career assessments into each grade level so that each student has a piece that they can take back to their high school counselor. I work hand in hand with the high school counselor. The kids have to sign a release that I'm able to speak to the high school so that the right hand knows what the left hand's doing and no one feels intimidated by the other side. But on Ready Set College, we have 2 career surveys that the students can use. We're in the process of adding more, and then also adding some concrete surveys that they can complete that will go for your assessment when you get audited. So we have the career surveys, we have career searches, and then we can also search by majors, by your abilities, and more. So my whole thought process behind this, and for those that know me, I'm so random at times, but I do have this bit of OCD on me also, is that I really wanted something set up. I wanted to be able the students to really be able to look at these careers, and then what does the career mean as far as a major, and then if I wanted to major in this career, what colleges would that be? Okay, so we could really take a stepping stone with this. And I found it to be like really, really helpful. I had a student just this fall that was, I guess it was this summer, it was a year ago, holy mackerel, that was attending Temple, and he was a pre-med major, and he just wasn't sure that that's what he wanted to do. He was a rising junior. So we pulled up Ready Set College and we put in the career of the pre-med and some of the things that he was doing. And we looked at what other majors he could then also be interested in. And one of the things that was a crossover was engineering, okay? Well, you'd taken everything with engineering, he was already at a school that offered that, so he's able to go to his academic advisor and smoothly make that transition and not add any years onto his schooling. So that's one of the things the tools does. If you go to the next slide, Jen.
Yes.
Please, that's all.
It's coming. There it is.
Okay, so one of the things we have under the careers is, and I'm sure you've seen this on other sites, but it's everything from overview to related careers. And I did not want to make the screen, bring it live. It just would become too complicated and we don't have enough time for that. But it goes through every single thing: overview, salary, demand, core tasks, technology skills, tools used, what your interests have to look like, and also the work value and related careers. Okay, if you like this, maybe you would like this. The majors, if you had this career, what major would that look like? So again, that takes us from careers to majors to colleges. A piece that would help you with all the steps that Jen has so nicely articulated before this. And then you go to the next slide, which is what are the majors. Okay, so I've got this career, I want to be an engineer. Okay, here are the possible majors. And I just took a clip of this. All right, there's so many more. But so from there you click learn more, and then that will take you to the colleges. So on Ready Set College, it will only take you to the 415 colleges that are part of our network. However, if you don't want to use any of these schools, at least you have a step up to this point. Okay, you've done your career piece and you've reached some of the goals that you need to do for the state. You've got your major piece. You can certainly look at these schools. We would encourage you to look at these schools. These are all private schools that that discount, basically. That's a story for another day. If your school's not in there, that doesn't mean you can't use the tool. You can certainly go and look at your Naviance. You can look at Navigate. You could look, go to College Board and see what other schools do that. But the kids have a nice tool and a nice systematic way to go from one place to another and understand. Even under when you look at the majors, it'll talk about what kind of things you need to think about, like what does this major entail? What would my strengths have to be within that major? And then these on our link, that thing takes you directly to the college page so that you can see, well, what is that college like? So it's kind of this one smooth tool. And so what we're trying to do, and what we're hoping that you would do, is you'd be able to use this tool and just streamline it through. There's a lot of other things on the site that you can talk to me privately about that. This is really an overwhelming task, and our goal, both Jen and myself, and everyone that's on this page right now, is to try to make this as easy as possible, so that you have different sites that you can go to and that you can use effectively. Go ahead.
Jenny, I would add, Jenny and I have been working together for what, 2.5 years now?
Yeah, about 3 years.
About 3 years we met. And it just was by happenstance, partly through our networking of folks through PACAC.
Right.
That being said, I was brought in just because I've done some work through the state with the career networking and the career leaders program or something. But, we looked at some of these things and other pieces on the website. And while I have, again, resource well, have access to the larger piece of Naviance, and then we'll mention a few others as we move forward here, I do still use Ready Set College with my students because it brings some other lens. So I was able to help my kids utilize that piece. For us, we streamline holistically. We graduate between 350 and 380 kids a year. So we have to have a streamlined program that is consistent, that I can ensure that I am fulfilling those requirements every year, and that we have a standard checklist that we are going through every year to make sure my PIMS report is accurate, which everyone knows what I'm talking about on this call. That being said, I do want to look at holistically at options and resources that exist out there for my students. So when, if you were to look at my website for Upper St. Clair, you're going to see a number of resources that are listed that are beyond Naviance. Do we make them use Naviance? Sure, we invest in that, and it's something that we use holistically, and we're a public school, and we have to go through that and make sure those things happen. Do I team with my teachers, and do they know how to use Naviance? Do we apply through that with the kids? Yes. That being said, there's so many more resources that do exist, several that are free to use.
Right. And RSC is just a free website. There's never any charge for it. So it's an opportunity, we feel, for all school districts to use, but also for school districts, like I said before, cannot afford to purchase this, because these, it's a market, and people that, assessment tools out there know that you have to have this, and everything's got a price tag on it. So that's what one of the things we're really trying to do, is make this access for all, so that everybody can have an opportunity to do what the state's requiring you to do, and also know what your career path is going to be.
Right. So while perhaps the link to colleges, you know, to Jenny's point, are only the colleges in partnership with Sage, the other layers prior to that, the career searches
Absolutely.
into majors, are all holistic. Right. Did I hit that right, Jenny?
You did, right
Great.
on. Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so the next piece, CW, PA Graduation Project, PDE has resources directly on their website. Career Zone Pennsylvania is a free resource that allows students to assess their interests, skills, and work importance, document activities, and plan for the future. It's on the site, it's PA specific. Students can register so that their work can be maintained. That's another opportunity you would have to house some information and have access to documented materials. But again, I would encourage you, whatever you choose to do really needs to be holistic for your system, unless you're doing something additional with your kids, if you're looking for additional assessments. Also, I can share through this lens that my learning support teachers with students with IEPs looking for additional resources, we will utilize the Career Zone Pennsylvania for that with their students as well, as they're looking for additional assessments for their kids. Other commercial projects that Pennsylvania puts out for career portfolios would be Bridges Choices Planner, as well as Career Cruising. I have a number of peers in my area that utilize Career Cruising. It's a product that packages information portfolios, high school planners. You know, these are the ones that are listed on the PDE website. So what I know that means is that they do the work that you need to have done in housing information. Other schools additionally might be taking a look at Cooter, I previewed recently, KUDER, or Zello. I can't vet them completely, so they're not listed in writing on this presentation because I haven't used them. But there's a lot of Squires out there as well. There's a number of systems. I would say though, and encourage you to find a one-stop shop, because again, we're looking to make this manageable, to be efficient, and to work for you and for your system. What I would add before we take questions at this point for anything and how we manage things is, when this all first came to pass, I reached out to my administration, and I'm gonna pull this down so I can see folks. Stop sharing. There we go. When this all first came to pass, I met with my administration and we talked through this, and it felt so overwhelming. And most of my colleagues went about and worked on some pieces that really became a separate entity. And the counselors were running around in circles and going crazy, just trying to check the list. And the work we initially did was not meaningful, nor was it thoughtful for students, but we were definitely checking the boxes and getting it done and fulfilling the requirements. And the meeting we had at that point was around, you know, if these were new mandates for English or math or science or social studies, or a language or some other content area other than career that fell under counseling, would we be treating it in such a way? And the answer was a resounding no. Additionally, there are career standards, if you look, fall under social studies. So much of this actually formally can fall under social studies. There are pieces of the career standards that fall very neatly under English because of the writing components and the resume and some of the reflection pieces. So it's very simple to team with your colleagues when they start seeing that, and then seeing how it improves, you know, problem solving skills, classroom management, frankly, because the kids see how their academic work absolutely ties to decision making for their future. Like, why am I taking geometry and what does this do for me? So they start seeing the holistic point of being in a classroom and what that means to point toward a major. Maybe they don't need geometry for the major of interest, but the process and procedure of being in a classroom and the problem solving skills they take from that and the teamwork and all those other layers that are essential skills for the future come out of that. And so that has been something that's been a really big win for our school, the high school here, and really as a K-12. We've made it a K-12 initiative and have teamed together and brought in all of our other content areas. It's also a way for you to celebrate the work that you do and ensure that the folks that you work with as school counselors is systemic and far-reaching, and that you're not living on that island that we often get placed on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Jen. You know, I also think, you know, taking it on a day-to-day basis, as we work with students, like some of them have a very clear pattern of what they want to do. Like when I was 10, I knew I wanted to be a nurse, and I am a registered nurse. You know, I mean, that was it. That was my path. That's what I did, and don't ask how I got here. Okay, but I still have my nurse's license. So you work with kids that they're not really quite sure where that's going. I'm working with a rising junior right now that's really smart. but they're all smart and gifted because they're from Lake Wobegon. But he thinks he wants to be an orthodontist because his uncle's an orthodontist. So we kind of started talking about that and working in people's mouths all day and like really want to be in somebody's mouth all day. And I really hadn't thought about that. And we went through the whole career major thing, and he's going to major in computer science. Okay, well, that's really far from a mouth, but the caveat, I think, which is to please the parents, is that I can still take these skills and apply to dental school if I need to, if I want to, okay? So it's kind of the carrot for the family that I still have what I need to get there, but through doing the career to major, and we certainly haven't gotten to the college piece yet, like what else can I do with these things that I like to do in my life, you know? And I think that's the success story in all of this, okay? In all of our pages of standards and what we have to do is, where does that take that student? Does it take that student to a technical school? Does it take that student to where they're still just really aren't sure? And so I'm going to start off at a community college, which is awesome, which I think our community colleges are probably going to have big booms after COVID, which bravo, they should, you know? So I think if we look at this as a process and try to take in the pieces that we need to fulfill because the state says we have to, but keep that child-centered piece, I think it'll make it just a little bit easier to work with.
And, you know, and while maintaining child-centered, you make a really good point about families as well. I mean, how many of us have worked with families or done a presentation and somebody in the back raises their hand and says, well, you know, 27 years ago when I deferred at Penn State, and I'm like, you know, and eventually you have to make the statement, well, with all due respect, sir, 27 years ago looks really different than 3 years ago looks really different today.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why I go to PACAC all the time. And that's why I go to trainings all the time and webinars, because, you know, it looks really different. It's a very different animal. And so, you know, parents remember I went to college 5 years ago. I don't know about you guys, but that was a joke. You're all supposed to laugh. But I mean, we all went, you know, when we went to school.
They're laughing. They're laughing heartily.
Things look really different now. And, you know, we need to remain aware of that. But, you know, parents that we work with great intent, have memories that they're reflecting upon, and that's what they know, and it's true to them. And so this process also, because it's so systematic and it is a process, good use of language, Jenny, you know, really allows them to work with you through that, and you have evidence to provide to them as well. So really holistically can be a win. While it did not feel that way, and who said? Stacy, I'm so sorry that you got to visit. I'm sorry that happened.
I know, we saw that. Do you want to share any piece of that? Like,
sure.
So no, I all know how horrible it was.
You know, it was scarier. You know, the auditor came in, and they came in with like the PSSA police. So it was like a all-encompassing.
Oh, good.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very, very scary. But as it turned out, we had that was the first year that we had hired a K through 12 career. What do we call him? The career readiness coordinator. So he was right on it. I mean, he was stationed at Central at the time. He was at our building within 5 minutes, you know, kind of hosting the auditors. And it was not even fully mandated at that point. So that was very helpful, actually, that we were able to pull up the portfolios that at the time we were keeping on Naviance. We now have moved it to our Schoology. But anyway, ultimately, they were actually very nice. The main auditor, this is kind of funny, was actually going through a divorce and spent most of the time talking about that as opposed to going through our records. So, I mean, it ultimately was fine. But that
keep them distracted.
She was very friendly, but had some feelings about other things in her life. But, you know, it's like all relationships, truthfully. We treated her in a way that was like, you know, she was the customer. We're kind of like serving her. We all were lamenting about her, you know, divorce situation. And she was quite helpful to us as going through the portfolio. There were a few things that she had some tips on, but we weren't in a situation where, you know, there was like any sort of consequences for it. But yes, like when you find out that the auditors are there, it is a horrible morning and all appointments are like canceled. But it was fine ultimately. So, but yeah.
At the end of it all, did you look back and say, gee, there were certain things that we were spending way too much time worrying about that was probably not as important? and other things that maybe I should have put a little bit more emphasis on?
Yeah,
Understanding that every auditor is going to look for something different, but
I would say the thing that we learned the most from it was to really be tracking students' attendance, because we were going into classrooms doing certain, like resume, for instance. We had
Right.
specific time that we were going in, like a whole week, where we were working on resumes, and kids that just happened to be out that week,
Mhm.
you know, one of the 5 did not have a resume. Like they had our 5 random names, and he didn't have a resume because he happened to be out that week. And it wasn't something that was even necessarily on our radar at the time. I mean, of
Right.
course, we knew, you know, the classes that we had gone into that we were sharing with the teacher, because at the time we were just going into health classes, which we have discontinued, but we were just going into health classes, and if a kid wasn't there, we gave it to him as like a makeup assignment, but there were no points allotted to it, or, you know, so it didn't
Right.
get done for that student. So truthfully, following up after the lessons and after the submission of the artifacts would be the biggest takeaway. Just, we put all this time and effort, and we didn't double check that it was done for all the students.
Oh, that's
If you,
really helpful. Thank you.
the follow-up piece we have come to learn, it's a great activity for your interns, because they've got to learn about college and career. They have to understand what it means. And they definitely are learning about it in school, but it is kind of, you know, it's one of those streamlined things that, you know, when they go to interview, they need to be able to speak about. It gives them tons of kid time. It's not something anyone loves to be going through lists of things and checking and off boxes to ensure kids are done. And it is tedious to some degree, but they've got to learn how to do the tedious tasks as well,
Right.
checking lists. And then they're able to call for kids. It requires them to send emails to teachers. It requires contact with parents if the kids aren't getting it done. And that's how we've sort of set up a system of that. So it is a task that we have absolutely utilized our interns for. So if anyone has interns, I encourage you to work with your interns on that, because it's a great holistic activity that allows them access points to so many pieces of what they're required to do, and really of what we're required to do. It's real, true work. It's something that, frankly, you don't need to sit with them as they're working on it. And, you know, if you've trained them well when they've started on as an intern, this is work they're able to do for you, you know, and really they need to know how to do. So it's
Right.
that's been a real help for us. So we have it on, you know, cycles, like when they reach out to which grade level to ensure we haven't missed something. Because it does get overwhelming, especially, you know, when, like, you know, you have a game plan for the 3rd week of March to do it, and then some major emergency happens, and, you know, you need to ensure that gets somewhere on the calendar. Well, what happens when that week of the calendar that becomes available is when you're prepping all your AP stuff or something? You know, I mean, nothing else, as we know, nothing else goes away when other responsive services
Right.
become required.
No, everything comes your way. Nothing ever goes the other way. One question that keeps on coming up: will these slides be available? And they will.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we'll
So
get those.
I think it'll be posted on the PACAC site. Does that sound right? If not, just contact us, and
We'll get them.
we have it as a Google Doc, and we can just share that with you. Any other comments, questions, things you'd like to share out there, looking at your morning faces in your homes? All right, here we go.
Great.
Well, you know, this is really something that's been near and dear to both Jen and my hearts. I can remember talking about the interns back in the day. Oh my God, I'm dating myself. But I had all my interns work. I did Holland Code stuff, which is like kind of your original piece, and it was just so time consuming. And we would print out reports, and we'd send them to the families, you know, before we could do everything online. And that was always, it was an intern's job, not just because it was time consuming, although that was a piece of it, but it was also an organizational skill. It was a piece to kind of be able to look at the whole picture of the student, bring the family into it. Now everything is obviously coordinated different ways. And I have gone through that whole spectrum of that, of just doing that online. One of the things that we're trying to do with Ready Psychologists is try to develop a counselor page where you could have access to these tools, working as a team. But that would be stage 2, since we're just launching the website. But I would encourage you to get on there and try it. The face of the site that you will see looks a little different than what I showed because we're in the process of redoing the face. If anybody's ever worked with the website, as soon as you get it done, you don't like it. So you start to repaint the canvas. So that's where we are. And thank you guys. I think we're good.
Thank you.
10:43. Yes, score. We're on. And we wish we were there in face to face with
Yes,
you.
yes. If we were in person, we'd be doing activities. So next time, come again. We'll do
Activities,
something
maybe a
fun.
little song and dance. I think next year we're in the Poconos. Does that sound right?
I
Were you
think,
Poconos next year, Beck? Yeah, Poconos.
I think so.
Not my favorite.
Hopefully we will be, and we'll see all your smiling faces.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you guys. Enjoy PACAC.
Enjoy the rest of the conference, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Aaron. Bye, everybody. See you in another session. Well, I thought that went well.
I think so. It's so weird because you just like
It is so weird. And when you only have 45 minutes and you're used to like
an hour and a half.
somebody might have a thought and raise their hand and you tag them and go.
Well,
on.
you know, when you do these in person, it's engage. Like we both engage and interact with people all the time. It was good.
I have to say, from the outside, though, you guys are very engaging. Like, you're really fun to listen to. You really mesh well together. Well, I know you're friends with each other too, but like, it bounces off of each other really well.
Yeah, we did a nice job of not talking over each other. That's awesome.
We actually did pretty well.
Yeah,
Which is hard on Zoom. It's not easy.
Even when we're on the phone, we talk over each other, just the two of us. So
No, it's crazy. So I think I will jump on another one. Are you going to jump on other things today?
later, there's not another one till 2 now. We have a break.
Okay. So we have a business meeting?
12:30.
Yeah, I feel like as past.
12:30 is review of bylaw, or 12 is review of bylaws, and then 12.
Ugh, shoot me now.
I know. And then 12:30, there's a 2 o'clock. I have to pick Bella up at 2, and then I'll get home and I'll hop on something.
Okay.
I have some
Awesome.
parents-
Good job.
Yeah, good job. Yeah, yes.
Good
I'm gonna
PowerPoint
one
together.
tomorrow at 10, so I'll do that.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Thanks, Jeanette. See you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys. Thanks.
Okay, bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.